We have some really interesting topics to discuss today. Let me just share the agenda and some housekeeping items. This session, of course, is being recorded. Other than that, you can add any of your questions to the Q&A section. It's where the activities button is on, I believe for you, it's on the right bottom side of the screen. You'll see the three shapes, circle, square, and triangle. Click there and you'll see a Q&A section there. You can put your questions and we'll get to them in the Q&A part. Over to the agenda, we'll start with some intros of our speakers, the need for speed with Scott Holland from Google, then OpenLegacy application integration in Apigee, a demo, powerful combination with Mamata, continue with Ori Bar, how to unlock the legacy systems fast. And of course, Scott will kind of wrap things up with accelerate your digital transformation. So our speakers today, as I mentioned myself, I'm Leanne, Scott Holland with Google. He's the group product manager, Ori Bar from OpenLegacy, SVP customer success and pre-sales, and Mamata, also from Google, senior customer engineer. So without further ado, over to you, Scott.
Thank you so much, Leanne. And big thanks to the OpenLegacy team for joining us here as our partner in this endeavor. Welcome, everyone. I want to just share some really cool stuff that we've been doing in Google Cloud around, you may have heard of Apigee, which is one of our leading API management products. But we've also been working on over the last few years an application integration product, which is in the iPaaS space and often uses connectors. And so this is one of the main reasons we're partnering with OpenLegacy so that we can have connectivity even into the legacy systems as well. So we're going to go through what that looks like today. So in this era of AI, you knew we wouldn't be able to make it very long before we mentioned AI to you in this presentation. We have a lot of demands coming at you if you're in IT or if you're in an engineering team and your business is wanting to get this generative AI as the priority, right? So that they can increase their business velocity and actually get more done with less people and just be more productive overall and give better customer experience. So you have consumers saying, I want, hyper-personalized product recommendations. I don't want to receive generic marketing emails. I need, my order urgently, etc. But in this enterprise space, this is where we kind of gravitate to with our products in Google Cloud. We have these demands coming to your teams as well. Like, how do we map orders and customer preference information? How do I connect my AI agents to mainframes? Right? How do I process my orders faster? How do I build an enterprise-aware conversational chat agent? So all of these new kind of AI era problems need to be solved. And it's not always easy to figure out like what's the best way to do that. And so what we want to talk to you about today is some cool ways that we can help you accelerate that solution. So we have some awesome teams here at Google Cloud that work on agent space, and we have conversational agents, and they make it really easy to kind of create agents that can then give your employees and even your customers a better experience through a chat interface, right? But these agents can only do so much if they're not connected to your actual business systems. If they're not connected to the data in your systems, then these agents can't be that helpful for real world problems, right? So we're working with these teams to make sure that we can help our customers to get connected to the data in those applications. And so there's several kind of layers that we'll go through. And let's start with, if we look at this cloud down in the lower left, we see day one, simple CRUD. What I mean by that is simple, create, read, update, delete. Like just, you need to do some simple operation in an application. Then we're actually embedding our connectors into agent space and into conversational agents. So you can just select the connector that you want and do that CRUD operation, and now the agent can basically say, hey, I want to read an order from a database, or I want to read an order from a mainframe, right? So that's great. That solves these simple cases. Now day 2 comes along, and now you have more complex requirements. You've connected to the data, but now the business team is saying, yeah, but we have this business logic. We don't want to just create an order. We need to do things like validate that the customer, or a valid customer, we need to do a credit check to make sure that they can order that amount. We need to, check their address, their shipping address, and make sure it's a valid address, right? There's all this kind of business validation that's part of your normal process of creating an order, for example, that you want to make sure is what we call deterministic, meaning you get the same answer every time, no matter what. It's got to be implemented according to your business logic. These are business rules that you have to follow. And you don't want the agent to be guessing what your business process is, right? What your business logic is. And so that's where we come along with our application integration, with this integration first box that you see in the middle. And we can do that deterministic answer. We can actually create a workflow that has those steps and does all the validation that's needed, and does whatever lookups and other systems, so that the agent gets the same consistent answer, the right answer according to your business logic every time. This will give your agent a much better ability to follow your business process. And it's all done with low code, which we'll see in the demo that Mamatha will show us later. Now let's go to day 3. If we look at the big cloud in the upper right, now you've got a solution. It's working, it's implementing your business process. Now you need to move this into production, and you want to have production grade governance. And so this is where we can now apply Apigee on top of this. We can make sure it's an API first methodology. We can have things like security policies and model armor policies and throttling policies, and all the things that you would want. And then you get visibility as well through the API analytics. You can have advanced API security layered on top of that. So there's all of this kind of security and governance that your CISO, your basically your head of security, your enterprise architects, and anyone else that has to sign off on getting things to production will be asking you for. Like, how are you taking care of this? How are you keeping the data private? How are you making sure it's not getting hacked, right? All those questions that they want to ask. It's going to be the same questions for AI applications as it is for any other application. And so we want to be able to give you that tool set where you can take this layered approach. You start with the connector, you go to the integration to implement the logic, and then you can put an API proxy on top of it with Apigee. So we're really excited about this use case, and we're excited about how we can help our agent space customers and our conversational agents customers to be able to implement this for, from soup to nuts, from starting with easy all the way to production grade. So now I'm going to just take a step back and say, okay, we have this use case with AI, but that's not all we can do, right? It's a general iPaaS. You have this problem where you just need to connect applications, and now AI is one of these dots in here that needs to connect into these different applications. And so it's not easy to connect these agents to 500, maybe more applications that you might have in your enterprise. They can be legacy. If we look at the red dots, it could be some new application that was even written by AI, right? That's another trend, is that people are generating a lot of code right now and creating new apps. Or it could be a SaaS app like Salesforce, or Slack, Box, Concur, etc. So each of these applications kind of has its own personality, I like to say, and this is where our connectors bring a lot of value, because they normalize the way that you connect, and you don't have to worry about the nitty-gritty details of each application. So application integration gives you a visual integration designer. So it's drag and drop and intuitive to quickly put together this workflow, and you can have conditions, and you can do filtering and routing and all that stuff. We have over 100. I need to update this. It's 140 plus plug and play connectors now, and this helps you to connect to all those enterprise apps, SaaS apps, the queuing systems, databases, right? The document management systems, file-based systems, right? So these connectors kind of, like I said, normalize the protocol into a standard way of connecting. And then we give you a lot of power with these tasks and transformations. So with a simple drag and drop and configuration, you can easily get the job done. And this all operates in Google Cloud as a cloud native managed service. So for you as the user of application integration, it's very much like a SaaS based experience. You create your integration in our console, you hit publish, it's running in the cloud. You don't have to worry about any infrastructure, scaling, monitoring, all of that's handled by the Google Cloud engineering team. So the topic for today, we're going to focus in on some legacy systems. So it's important to understand kind of the context of why we're going there. Why does legacy matter in this day and age, especially with AI? Like AI and legacy, it's almost like, what? Why would you mix those things together? But we think it is a really important topic, and in order for your business to really get the value out of AI, it becomes even more important. So here are some statistics. Even though everybody's been trying to modernize and get their mainframes to the cloud, we're seeing the investments topping 500 billion still, and they're hitting all-time highs. So these mainframes are just not easy to replace. They're not easy to modernize. They're still sticking around, and they have the most core business applications running for these companies like banks and insurance companies and retail, right? Their core business runs on this. And so they're highly critical. And you can see some of these stats: 50 billion transactions a day. 87% of global credit card transactions go through a mainframe. Let that sink in. Every time you swipe your card, right? It's bleep, it's hitting a mainframe. Can you believe that? 29 billion ATM transactions a year, 4 billion travel bookings per year. These are just incredible numbers. And all of this just to emphasize that mainframes, AS400s, core banking apps, they're still there. And if you want to get the full value out of AI, we need to figure out how to connect to them. And so part of the modernization journey, we know that people are trying to do some like code conversions, taking their COBOL code from their legacy system and kind of using these generators to generate maybe Java code or something and then run it in a container in the cloud. That's all great, but you can't just do that with their whole mainframe and every application on the mainframe all at once. And so we need to modernize. As part of this modernization process, you might move one module to the cloud. But now that module probably needs to talk back to the mainframe for some data references, right? And to have those. So we need to build a bridge between the cloud and the legacy system while the 5, 7, 10-year process of modernizing that mainframe is happening, so that the cloud modules can still talk with the modules in the legacy system. So 64% of enterprises said application and infrastructure integration is a major modernization issue. So having good connectivity and having a bridge between these two is something that we think is really important, and we think we can help with that. So we are now going to switch gears, and Mamatha is going to jump in and show you some hands-on demo what it looks like in the product. So thank you so much, Mamatha, for all your hard work on this, and take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. So, hey, my name is Mamta. I'm a senior customer engineer with Google Cloud, Apigee specialist, application and integration and Apigee specialist. So today I'll be talking about the OpenLegacy application integration and Apigee, right? It's a powerful combination. So, and also we will give a glimpse of Gemini Code Assist and the agent space as well. So let's start with it. So here it is like build, and the demo is about build and deploy a generative AI agent using natural language processing with Vertex AI Agent Builder and application agent integration, right? So basically like Vertex AI Agent Builder, we are bridging the gap between both Vertex AI Agent Builder and application integration, how agents can build using Vertex AI Agent Builder and how they can talk to the different backend system using application integration, right? That's what all the demo is about. So let's introduce the Gemini Code Assist for application integration. So automate the automation, right? The enterprise context is the key. Gemini Code Assist will model based on your apps, your connections, and your enterprise-specific data. Application integration is using Gemini AI to generate integration assets from a prompt, including the integration flow, data mapping, connectors, test cases, documentation, and more. Soon, almost all your integration tasks will be automated through a Copilot interface. So here is a glimpse of it, right? How exactly we can do it. So here is our best friend, Jane. She is an order management specialist. And the question is like, how can I get the status of an order without logging into 3 different apps, switching 10 different screens, clicking like 50 times, copy pasting the details? Means it's definitely like not a good experience, right? It will actually like, I'll lose my mind. So basically like how we can do all of this using our agent space builder and an agent application. So let's dig into the demo. So how we are actually building this, before we dive into the demo, I'll explain like how we have built it, and then I'll showcase the demo. So basically this uses a Vertex AI, helps the enterprise build transformative AI experience with enterprise ready generative AI, right? So this is the complete generative AI platform. In this, we are actually concentrating on the Vertex AI agent builder. And what is an AI agent? It actually can have like 3 components to it. One is a model, which is a multi-model one. And then the next one is a tool set. It comes with its own tool set like APIs, functions, database, and agents. And also it comes with an orchestration layer, which is an agent of a brain. Like it's basically the brain where you orchestrate all of these things. We will see all of these in the demo. And what does the flow looks like is an agent app, like being a chain is a client who is actually like querying an agent app, and agent app will talk to a different tool set, which is like OpenAPI toolset, data store, and function toolset. In this case, we are talking to an OpenAPI toolset. The OpenAPI toolset will in turn talk to a service, which is an application integration, right? And that application integration has everything to you needed to talk to different backend systems, which has connections, connectors, and everything to it. And it also comes up with workflow model, which is an orchestration model. We will like dive in deep and see like how exactly all this is put together. So now let's get in and see like Vertex AI agent builder plus application integration demo, how we can bring it together to make this demo seamless. Hey, this is the landing page where is an agent builder. And I have a retail agent app. So let's click on the retail agent app and see like what is in it. So it will actually like take me to another console, which is an agent console. If you see, the agent console will have a name, which is a retail agent, which I created. And then the goal is to help employees to utilize enterprise context to address customer inquiries, right? Employees will come and inquire, and then we will get data out of it. And the brief instruction is given in the app itself. You can just give all the instruction over here. So basically, it will greet you in the start and then summarizes the user. And if you see, there is like 5 tool set that is actually there. One is a tool set to connect to get the list of users and get an and the tools. So we have like different tools over here. Like one is an API tooling, which will actually like connect to the BigQuery database to actually get the user details from there. So, and this is an open API spec, which is with the BigQuery database, and we have fed in all the user details to the BigQuery database, right? It has all the user details. So either you can get a list of user or you can query and get a single user. Those are the queries that it is exposing with an open API spec. Let's see the integration as well, like how exactly this open API spec behind the scene have the integration ready. So if you see, this is the application integration overview, and we have built 2 integration over here, which is a workflow. One is get inventory, which will actually give me a list of users. The other one is the get user, which will actually give me the one particular user that I'm requesting, right? So that is the 2 workflows. On top of the workflow, we have built an open API spec where we have fed the open API spec to the agent builder itself. And if you see, there is a path to it where we have two APIs which is querying. One is an get user, the other one is a get inventory of all the users. So those two those two is fed in inside the Open API spec, and that is you have created it as a tool, right? That's the first tool talking to your BigQuery. The second tool set we have, which is talking to an OpenLegacy, right? So where we have a still same Open API spec with all the details, it's an order management system. So where we have an orders fed into an OpenLegacy, and we are like querying that OpenLegacy for these orders. One is to get all the order details and get a query, a single order and get it, and also a create order, right? So this is back end is OpenLegacy, and how is it exactly done is we have built an integration over here, which is like list order, get order, and create order. And we have done the mappings, and then same, we have built a connections where we can talk to OpenLegacy and get all the details from the OpenLegacy system. Okay, so coming back here, we have the third one, which is a Zendesk, where we are creating a ticket in the Zendesk and also querying the tickets from the Zendesk. We have the same Open API spec, which is actually pointing to Zendesk, where we do create ticket, get ticket, and also list ticket from the Zendesk system, right? We have different APIs that are there in the Open API spec, which is again pointing to the integration. And this is the workflow for that, where we create a ticket, get a ticket, and update a ticket. So this has like 3 API triggers and 3 mappings and 3 connector tasks where it is talking to the backend Zendesk ticket system. So we have like all the 3, one is BigQuery, the second one is OpenLegacy, and the Zendesk, which has been created as tool, and which is like, again, agent is fed in these details using a tool set where you can see a dollar tool, user management API tooling. That's where all these 3 APIs have fed in to the instruction to talk to the backend system. And how is it talking to the backend system? It is using an application integration to talk to the backend system via a connector framework, right? That's what we have fed in over here as an instruction. And also, like to extend this, we can also have examples. So how we can do the examples is like, we can actually build the examples for somebody to see like what is this agent is about. So one is like a create ticket. That's an example that we have built. So where I say like create a ticket to return the order, return this order, right? So it will go ahead and create the ticket in the Zendesk. If I actually fire this example, it will go ahead and create a ticket in the Zendesk, and it will give me the details of the ticket ID, which is like ticket number 26, and that's the details of the ticket. So to retrieve an order, I'm creating a ticket in a Zendesk and say, okay, this ticket has been created to retrieve the order. Now I can go ahead and test this one over here by clicking on the example, like where you can we can see the response, you can feed in the input and everything, right? So, and also there is a small prompt, if you see the below, where you can say enter the user input. And also along with that, I have other examples too, like can get a list of user details where it will actually get the complete user details list from the BigQuery, right? And also agent space is so nice so that it will actually summarize me the details about the task, right? So let me go ahead and just test it out, like how exactly it works. I'll just enter hi first so that I can see if it responds. Yes, the agent is working and started responding to me, right? So I'm just in a testing phase. So how can I help you today? So let me say like, I want to create a ticket ID or get me a ticket ID with this number. So let me see if I have a ticket ID with that specific number. And if it is there, it will actually talk to application integration, and that will query the Zendesk and get the ticket and display the ticket over here. So the good thing about the agent is like it will actually like the description, you can see it in a JSON format also, or it will summarize it in a text format for you where you can see the details and say, okay, my testing is all done. Everything is working fine, right? And also you can, if you want, you can do the order details also or user management details also by entering one more prompt to it. So now I want to like get the order details of 1687. That's my order ID. I just entered. So it will give me back my order details. Like, okay, this is the order details. So we can test everything like either a ticket or an order, or if you want, you can, because you have fed in all to the instructions where you have getting the data from BigQuery, getting the data from OpenLegacy, and also getting the data from Zendesk. So you can just test those prompts and see whether my agent is working fine. So once this is like, again, I'm testing it from a BigQuery to see like whether it is returning me all the users, and I'm able to see the output from the BigQuery. So basically, like I have tested this application with all the three backend application, BigQuery, OpenLegacy, and Zendesk, and everything looks fine. I'm getting the response that I wanted. Now, everything is working fine. So the next step for me is, how can I make it integrated, right? So it is working in a console, but I wanted to take it somewhere else, right? So what I do is, we have multiple integration channel over here. You can integrate it with Messenger, Google Chat, and Slack. In this case, I will try to integrate it with Slack, right? So I have created a Slack channel where I have published this agent app to a Slack channel, and to make it now for Jane purpose, we have like exposed this app in its Slack. So Jane comes here and say, now Jane has become Christopher over here. So he comes and say, I want to query the order details over here in the Slack channel. So I'll just go ahead and enter hi, and the agent started responding to me, how can I help you? So here, let me make a trick, right? I will not directly query the ticket. I will say like, can you like query the ticket for me? Like, and then it will ask what ticket, what number you want, what are the order details that you are looking for, right? Because I'm not feeding the entire data at once. Then I will just go ahead and say like, okay, then this is, I just want to get the ticket query there. Then, I mean, now also I'm not giving the exact data. So I'm just saying like, return me an order. So then it will ask me specific question like, what is the order number? Then I will go ahead and enter the order number. Then I'll get all the details from the OpenLegacy, because order management system is OpenLegacy over here. I'll get the details from OpenLegacy, and this is an order ID. And I'll also get the ticket ID, which is like 26. Then if you want to see the details, you can query back and say, can I see the complete details of a ticket or an order of this? Then when I enter that, so I want to see the ticket 26 complete details. It will give me the complete ticket details, and it will just post you the summary of it, not the JSON format. I'm getting all the summary over here. Okay, this is your ticket. This is what you're queried for and everything. So basically, like what we did is, we built an agent in the agent space, and we published an agent to the Slack channel, and we were able to get the details from the Slack channel about the order and the ticket, and it is giving you the complete order management system and the ticketing details from the order management system, and also from the Zendesk, right? This is how Jane was able to, like, instead of clicking through 100 different apps and getting all the details over there, we have just given one simple agent where they can just query it, you do all of these actions using that one simple agent. Okay, now let's get back. Let's actually dig in deep and see like how did we do all of this together, right? So one of the things that we did is we had an agent space builder, we had an open API spec, we had an integration task which were like built for backend systems like the BigQuery, OpenLegacy, and Zendesk, right? And we built the integrations and we built the connections, and it was able to talk to those systems. Take an example, we have out of the box many connectors in-house, and we don't have a specific connector that we are looking for a backend system. How can we connect, right? So Google integration, application integration connector building frameworks also offers you bring your own connector, where you can build your own custom connector if you have an end system, and you can bring in that custom connector and start building that custom connector inside the application integration itself. We give you that framework. Right. So this is a one small simple use case where you have a payment system, order system, and signature system, right? And it can be like 3 different systems, and you don't have a connectors which is already there within an application integration to connect to those end systems. Then how can you establish this connection to the backend systems, right? So you can build your own custom connectors for payments, order, and also you can utilize the REST API to actually talk to a DocuSign system, because that will expose it as a REST API system. That's the use case. Let's go ahead and see the demo as well. So basically, this is an integration connectors page where you have all the connectors which is present in-house. So this is a landing page of it. In the left-hand side, you can see connections. If I hit the connection, it will give me all the connections which is already built. I have some connections built for BigQuery, PubSub, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Zendesk, all of this different backend system. So if you click on a create connection, enter the location that where you want to put in, then it will give you the list of connectors that is already present within the system, right? It can be Google Cloud specific connectors, or it can be a third-party connectors like Salesforce, ServiceNow, Zendesk, Jira, or all of this. Like we have like 100+ connectors out of the box. It will list everything down over here. Take an example. You have something which is not already present, OpenLegacy, right? We don't have a connectors already present. So what you can do is you can build your own OpenLegacy connectors over here. I've already built one. So, and it is pointing to an Open API spec from an OpenLegacy, right? So this is an Open API spec from an OpenLegacy, which is actually talking to a backend OpenLegacy system. We're using an AS400 connector, right? So, and how exactly the spec looks like, it is like an Open API spec, which has all the APIs built into it. So if you want to get an order, you go ahead and do a get order. And if you want to post an order, you go ahead and do a post order. If you want to get a specific order, then you go ahead and say get order ID. You pass on that order ID and you get the details of that order. So basically, this is again a simple Open API spec which contains all the details from an OpenLegacy, which is talking over an AS400. And then, yes, once we came here, we just enter the connection details. For demo purpose, I'm just using another some dummy name, and then they say like how do you want to like connect to the backend. I just use the same service account over here, and then whether you want to feed in the Open API spec via a public URL, or you want to upload a file. I have a file. I'll upload it from a file system. You can also upload it from a G-Cloud Google Storage bucket as well. You can just give Google Storage bucket and upload a file, and then click on next, so that you have your Open API spec here, and you're all good to go with the custom connector. So I have built a custom connector for OpenLegacy backend, which is AS400, right? So this is the how do you actually use a custom connector to build the backend? Then how do you actually build an integration to it? When I actually showcase an Open API spec, it has list order, get order, and create order, right? So I built one each workflow to actually like pass on these things to that. So once I list order, then I have all the mappings done here. And also I have actually done a configured connection as well. So this is an Open API legacy connector, and it is talking over an action. So once you configure a connection over there, then you are good to go. You can just test this integration by passing an order ID. When you pass an order ID like 1687, then it will actually order is all displayed over here as an output format. So I'm getting everything as a JSON output format. And also, if you want to see that in logs, you can just click on the view logs tab over there, and that will showcase the logs in the log view, where it will actually, it is a debug kind of a view, where it will show a step by step, like how exactly it is processed. I did the mapping, then I went to the configuration, connector configuration, and also did the data mapping. It will show you the input and output fields as well. Like this is the payload that is received from the OpenLegacy. So this is the complete how you exactly execute an OpenLegacy build the connectors and build the workflows, and how you can actually invoke it using a custom connector framework, right? And also you have established the connection on top of it and build the integration on top of it.
Yeah, thanks, Mamata. I love how this pulled together all the way from we saw the chat happening with the order management agent. It then goes through the agent to a tool, which was application integration. Then that tool goes to the integration, which then uses this custom connector that was built. And in a minute, Ori is going to show us the final step, which is like, how did we actually create that connector in OpenLegacy as well? But I just wanted to take a pause. We were going really fast there, and remind people that if you have any questions, you can enter that into the Q&A. And yeah, just really appreciate that demo. I think it showcases like just how the data was flowing from the user all the way through the system to the connector. awesome that you can, chat with a mainframe. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to I just want to summarize whatever I showcased now. As an app, we created one simple app where it can actually talk to the backend systems. And that's what we did use everything within the application integration space. We used connectors to talk to the backend system. We use data mapping and orchestration, where we have built that integration workflow, and then using the orchestration. And then once the workflow is done, then we have exposed this as a OpenAPI spec to the agent space, where that started invoking that OpenAPI spec, and then it will allow us to talk to the different backend systems, right? Either it can be in Google Cloud, or it can be OpenLegacy, which is on the on-premise, or any of the other cloud vendor as well. So basically, application integration, keeping it as a middleware platform, it is allowing you to establish the channel to your backend services, which is hosted on different cloud systems or on the on-premise, using the connectors framework. Right. And on top of it, take an example, when you have the integrations ready to go, it need not be always on an apps that you consume the integration, right? There are multiple channels that consumes this integration. It can be via developers workspace, or it can be via consumers who are consuming your integration as APIs. When the integration is consumed as an API, that's where you think about what is next. How can I make my APIs more secure? And how can I have some of the controls on an API layer? That's where you can actually plug in Apigee API management platform into the system, where you can have different policy sets into it and have security controls built into it. And then you can obviously monetize your data as well and expose this APIs in an external or internal developer portals. So this is the adding top of your application integration layer as an API management layer using Apigee, and then exposing all the APIs securely to the external or the internal consumers. So yeah, this has the complete flow with a 3-layered approach, where you have Apigee API management, application integration, and your backend services. Yeah, with this, I will hand it over to Hori to talk about the OpenLegacy.
Thank you very much, Mamata. So if we look at this picture, there's actually one thing which is worse than legacy systems, and that's legacy system with no APIs, right? And that's what we're going to fix here. So how do you actually integrate to these systems that present a lot of value to the companies? It's going to take years to get rid of them, and it's going to be very difficult to do anything serious without actually connecting to the applications. And if we look at the bottom layer with a core system, we see all kind of legacy application. It could be mainframe, S400s, legacy databases, and all kind of other complex monolithic systems. What we know to do OpenLegacy, we know how to parse and understand metadata from this system. And based on that, we are creating APIs that can be consumed by application integration. And that means that this way they can be incorporated into orchestration with modern platform, AI, and so on and so forth. Just an idea about what kind of connectors we have. So here is a partial list, but many of them start with the word mainframe. So mainframe is both a big and complex world. That's our bread and butter, right? That's something we do for living. We're really good at connecting the mainframe. But you also see all kind of other challenge things. You see the S400 mid-ranges. You see Temenos, which is a core banking system. You see some SAP of older version, and so on and so forth. All these things are actually something we can understand, parse automatically, and generate integration that can be served to the outside world. But how do we actually do it? So let's take a very quick demo where I can show you what we're doing, how we're doing it. So if we start here, what you see here is actually 2 steps, right? The first step is going to be building a, let me go a bit back. Okay. Okay, we try it. First thing, we're going to be a module. A module is a building block of an API. That's actually what connects to a specific backend system. In this case, in this demo, we connect to an S400. And that's going to start with building what we call a module. A module is a Lego brick, API. We're choosing one. You see, we have many different ones. In this case, I'm going to focus on the S400, and I'm going to go to S400 PCML. PCML is a compiler directive of the S400 that we're using. We can also parse RPG and other things. I'm defining the name of this module and also the connection properties, because in order to test what I'm doing, I need to connect to an S400. This is a real S400 we're using for our testing purposes. Next thing I have to do, I have to add an asset. An asset can be RPG, or it can be COBOL, and many other things. I'm checking the connectivity to a mainframe, if S400 is working properly, and then I'm going to go and fetch directly from the S400 this asset. I can also take it and just drag and drop it. In this case, I'm going to take a look at the S400, find the right module I want to use, and pull it into the OpenLegacy hub. Here I found it. I'm putting it in. I'm giving it a name that makes sense. I'm going to use AI a bit later to optimize it even more, but that's kind of the first thing I'm doing, is giving it a reasonable name. And here it is. It got automatically parsed by OpenLegacy. I can see the different fields. I can see the length, the type of field, and so on and so forth. Normally, these systems don't really separate between input and output. We'll do it later. And now I'm going to take this module and incorporate this into a project. The project is going to be generated as a service connector API later on. So I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to create, in this case, an API project. I'm going to name it S400 account API and choose the right type. Choose my connectivity, which is the S400, and create a project. There are 4 different ways to create a project. In this case, I'm going to use the easiest one, which is fully automated creation of system API. And I'm going to use AI to optimize it. Normally, these APIs look horrible as default, COBOL, RPG, and so on. I'm going to use AI to make them nicer, easier to use. I'm going to optimize the verbs and the names and descriptions and so on. And here you go. We created this one. It got optimized by the AI. Here we see the input, whereas AI told us, hey, we only need account ID. There is a mapping between the input to the actual function call of the S400. The very same thing is happening towards the output, where I understand, okay, that's what I get from the S400. That's what I map into API. As you see, there are even some nice descriptions here that were added by AI, so we can actually understand what this API is about. Now I'm going to test it before I actually deploy it. So I'm going to do a quick test here. And you can see that I got the right result. Everything is working. The API was doing the work as it should. And with this, I can actually publish this API method, and I can take it to deployment. And deployment can be on anything. So I can put it on Cloud Run or on GKS, or there are actually many different options. Now it's deployed, so I can test it with the Swagger. I can see it's working. And that means that from now on, it can be picked by application integration and actually used as part of the flow that Mamata was doing earlier.
I love that you're generating the descriptions as well, Ori, because that actually will feed into the spec that goes to the agent. And now the agent has more intelligence about like how those fields are going to be used. And so it's like a AI feeding AI to be more intelligent. I love it.
And it's funny because we call them AI-friendly APIs, and we're actually doing some tests to see what is the difference, right? Do you feed something the way it's coming from the mainframe to the AI, or do you actually optimize it? And the difference is amazing, right? Because the engine can actually understand what it's about, can do better orchestration, and so on and so forth. So AI-friendly APIs, I think that's part of the future.
Definitely, definitely. And it makes those agents actually capable to do so much more. So we're going to just wrap up. I want to just leave this slide up while we talk just for a couple more minutes, and then we'll make sure to get to any questions that you have. I see there's one question in the Q&A, so we can certainly take more questions. We'll have a few minutes at the end. This is just kind of a nice overall picture to show you what we were doing today in the demo, where we had this conversational agent going through an integration, and then that integration was calling a connector to talk with the AS400 and with Zendesk. And another thing I want to point out, that one of the really amazing things that these agents can do is they give the user the ability to interact with multiple systems of record all in one conversation. And that's why these agents are so powerful, and that's why they've been taking off. Because now, instead of that order management specialist having to log into 3 different applications and run like queries, write SQL on a database and then go to a modern SaaS app and cutting and pasting IDs between systems, they're literally able to just have a chat conversation with these systems. So it really, really does help with productivity, and it helps with helping people to get the job done more quickly. And it also, the other thing I really love about agents is that they have the context of your conversation. So if you were talking about order number 43 and then you say create a ticket, it's going to know that you want to use that same order to create the ticket, right? And it has all those details, and it can send that over to Zendesk with details about the order from the mainframe are now in Zendesk for the service agent to have for the ticket. So really, really powerful stuff. We think this is the wave of the future that is here now, and we're really excited to be in the middle of it and to helping our AI teams here at Google to accelerate customers being able to adopt this. So very exciting. Yeah, we can go to Q&A next. And I do see there's some questions. Leanne, do you want to go ahead and moderate the questions?
I
Thank
think,
you.
Sure. So I think the first one is the easiest one. Yes, this session is being recorded, Anil, so no worries about that. We'll send it after. Mamta, is there any way we can automate the complete integration flow, CI/CD?
Yes, we can completely automate the integration flow using the CI/CD. We have APIs to do the automation, and also we have a CLI to actually automate this and plug into your own CI/CD pipeline, where it can be Git repo or it can be Git actions. You can do everything, and application integration will give you a framework to do that CI/CD complete integration flow.
Thank you. Very well. Scott, Ori, do you need any legacy skill sets in order to use the solution?
I'll
So
let you take that, Ori.
yeah, so actually don't. I think that's actually the beauty of what we're doing, right? Because we take the heavy lifting. We can understand all these kind of things like COBOL and RPG and many other creative things. We parse them, and this is an automated process. Nothing. What you get is actually you get served everything you need in order to integrate and so on. So that's really the whole idea behind it, right? You don't have to be expert. We see both legacy teams, but also teams on the open side actually using OpenLegacy to build and generate such integrations.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be some artifact that you get from the mainframe, right? Like a COBOL copybook, or I don't know that much about these legacy systems either. The PGM files that you were showing us, Ori, as you selected that in the demo, that obviously could just be sent to you by the legacy expert, right, that knows about those files, and then you just import it into the connector. And then, the great thing we saw with the AI generation is it was able to understand that copybook or whatever it was, and then make it into basically an understandable API. And once it's an understandable API, now you're in the modern world, right? And using application integration, as you saw, as low code drag and drop, we just have to basically take the open API spec that the connector generates, we create a custom connector out of that, and then we can interact with it just like we would any other connector at that point.
Yeah.
So definitely don't need to have those legacy skill sets as the integration developer. You would have to have some contact with the legacy system maybe to get some artifacts.
Yeah.
And to know how to do that connection JSON that you put into the initial setup. You might need some help with that from the team. But that's even if you're connecting to SAP or Oracle database or any of these applications, you need someone with that technical acumen to know, like, which port am I going to use, and what's the user ID, what's the password, what are the other security parameters, right? So that's
it's
very common.
Yeah, I'll just add whatever Scott mentioned, right? It is completely like no code, low code app. where from the agent space, you just use the everything is clickable and you will just build everything, because I didn't use any of my coding skills to go ahead and code anything over there when I showcase the demo. It's everything is low code, no code. When it comes to agent space, even the application integration and the OpenLegacy. So there is no legacy skills that is required over here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mamta.
Awesome.
Yeah. Question from Neil. With this replace Apigee, I'm going back to the slide you showcased about like the 3 layers approach. I believe it was, yeah. Maybe this will help answer Anil's question.
Yes, this is not a replacement for Apigee. This is an extension to Apigee. And also application integration is an integration platform, which is, as Scott mentioned, it's an iPaaS platform where it comes up with its own connectors, mapping capabilities, orchestration capabilities, and you can build your workflows. And this is there to build your backend APIs, right? And where you can integrate to your backend application. And on top of it, you can always use Apigee as an API first approach, as an API layer to expose your APIs internally and externally using all the security controls that Apigee provides. Basically, these are 2 distinct products which works hand in hand to provide the complete capabilities that is required for you to build one complete integration and expose it as an API.
That's right. And we've seen customers do quite a bit of, for example, they do some really complicated stuff in JavaScript inside of Apigee. You can do that technically, but it's really not a best practice, right? You should keep the API very lightweight and focus on security policies, throttling policies, governance at that API management layer. And then really you want something that implements all that logic that you might be doing in JavaScript or something in another layer. And some people write microservice code, right, to implement the API. One way that I present application integration is this can be your microservice implementation of the API. Just now you don't have to write code, you can do it with low code, right? So that's a way to think about it, is integration is the implementation of the API as a low code microservice builder. Yeah. So that everything you said, Mamata, I totally agree. They're definitely different layers that work well together. And that's how we think about it.
Yes.
Thank
you, Scott.
Sanjay was just giving us a compliment about the excellent session, so we appreciate that. We still have time for another question, so maybe we'll take it. We're getting off our legacy in a couple of years. How does your solution play part in that? Ovi, I think you might.
Yes, I'll take it. Yeah, I think actually the answer is going to have 3 parts, right? First of all, you cannot stop your business for 2 years, right? There are business demands, you have to provide value, you have to provide services, and so on and so forth. So this is pretty obvious. Either do it fast and efficient or do it slow and complex. Of course, you prefer to do it fast and efficient. The other thing is actually the whole thing about the API first, the API economy and all this, right? So if you create your API properly, they can point at something old, which is legacy today. Once you move to a new modern system, you just point your API as something new and modern, right? Everything you created and built inside application integration, your flow, your processes are the same. And last but not least, nobody is getting rid of a complex legacy system in one go. During this period, it's going to be a very long period of coexistence. And integration is exactly the right way to deal with coexistence.
Perfect. Scott, Mamta, anything else to add? Or yeah,
couldn't have said it better. Yeah, exactly. and a couple of years is aggressive.
Yeah,
It's probably more like 5, 7, 10 years, depending on how many modules are on there.
And it is a super duper combination, I would say. Apigee application integration plus OpenLegacy, right? So everything can put together and modernize your legacy system to the modernization. Yes.
Yeah. And the great thing about this is you don't have to wait for that 7 years to be complete before you start the modernization. And then we provide that bridge that we talked about so that you can have your modern tech stack operating with your legacy tech stack through that bridge that we built.
And as long as you don't add any technical debt, right? So you do everything that we're doing together is outside the legacy, right? So you choose to just take it with you once it's gone.
Yes.
So yeah.
There's a couple other points that I want to make real quickly before we end. One, why would you do this rather than just writing code, right? Because you could just write code. You can write your own connectors. You can write your own business logic and code. We think that not only will we save you time during development, right? Probably up to 50%, especially now that we can generate a lot of integration with Gemini Code Assist. But then over the long haul, we also reduce your cost and your maintenance, because we are maintaining the connectors to the systems instead of you maintaining the code for the connector to all these systems. And we're giving you better visibility. You have one platform where you can see all of the integration executions happening, and you can get a lot more reuse out of that. Whereas finding the right code that you might want to call might be difficult to reuse. And what's also really great about application integration is that it's self-documenting in a way. Even a business person, when they see the flow, they can kind of read that visual flow and understand what the logic is. And they might even say, hey, why are you checking for that value there? It should be this other value, right? So your business person can actually see whether their business logic is being implemented correctly. And so it gives more accessibility to the code that's actually running, to not only the developer that put this integration into production, but also to the business teams and to the architects, and basically everyone can come and read that. And it's even a skill that a non-technical person can learn to do, right? So they can contribute to the solution. And we see customers doing what we call I'm losing the word now, but basically democratization of integration. So giving this as a tool to their other business teams so that they can then start building integrations outside of like a core IT team. So that's kind of like the business value of why you would do this. The other point I wanted to make is also slipping my mind now. It was really good. Oh, yes. I wanted to let everyone know, we didn't mention this anywhere, and we should have, is that OpenLegacy connectors are available through GCP Marketplace. So you can use your GCP commit and pay for any OpenLegacy licenses via your GCP dollars, just like you would any other GCP service. So that really makes it a lot easier to work with application integration and OpenLegacy together, just as another kind of GCP solution that's available.
Perfect. And this is right on time, actually, Scott. So thank you. We appreciate you, everyone that is attending, and will be watching this recording after. We will send a session to all of you guys. So thank you for being here with us, and speak soon.
And thank you for your partnership, OpenLegacy. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thanks, everyone. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thanks for attending, everyone.